Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory Update 8 on the experimental branch of the game running the Unreal 5 engine. And in this episode, we are going to complete our Tier 4 milestones of expanded power infrastructure, Hypertubes, and FICSIT blueprints. As well as we are going to head on over to our space elevator and we are going to complete Phase 2 of the space elevator, and the only thing we have left to do is making the versatile frames and the automated wiring. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Alright, before we get too carried away with diving into completing some milestones and working on the space elevator, is at the end of the last episode, I said that we were going to work towards doubling up the size of the factory because we ended up with Mark II miners and Mark III conveyor belts. Well, that's exactly what I did. And if you look out over here, here is our upgraded factory. You can see that I've got stacked up different manufacturing lines happening here. Our copper is all being handled over on this platform. We've got a much bigger coal power plant. The steel factory has all increased, but let's have a cruise around here and have a look at what's going on. So first things first is we're taking one of the iron nodes that came from way off into the distance there, and this one iron node coming in at 200, actually it's a couple of iron nodes that are merged together to give us 240 items per minute, is all being used just to make plate. We have the plate just being dumped into a little storage container here, and then any of the other plate moves out to work on making our reinforced plate. But it's 8 smelters and then 8 again constructors to be able to take care of that. So that's taking care of one of the lines of iron that we have coming in. Of course, because this was a pure node, we were able to get 240 items per minute off of it directly. And we're going into 8 smelters on this. You can see the smelter arrays are the same between each node here. And then from there, we've got our iron ingots coming through. And then we've got it split off into, I think it's a total of 16 constructors here that are making all of our iron rods, of which we have them being dumped into storage, and then the iron rods are moving off into different production lines after that. And then we have a dedicated line here. This, of course, is a pure node as well. 240 items per minute coming out into the exact same smelter array that you see from the first two. And this is going through and making, we've got the same stack of iron rods happening here. And then all of those iron rods are going through to make us a large pile of screws. In fact, we have 4 conveyors of 240 items per minute of screws being made here for our various factory productions we've got going on. So now we're going to talk about copper. We've got our pure node of copper that's here. It's being fed up through an elevator up through that floor up there. And then I actually have a whole dedicated area. This area here is just for dealing with copper. So the copper ore comes up through the floor here, it runs in, and there is kind of a little channel here that it ends up popping up over here and feeds into the exact same smelter array that you would see down for our iron ingots. Then from there, it feeds into a pile of constructors that are here that are converting this all into wire for us. And then half of that wire is going into storage, I think. Let me just double check that. Yes, here's the half that's going into storage. And then the other half, yeah, okay, that's coming down. So these first 2 floors is copper wire coming down, and it's going over to make our copper cabling. And the bottom 2 floors go into this storage container, so we have access to additional wire if we need it. As well as the line is kind of set up here that when we do need it for manufacturing anything, it's available for us. So that is how we've got that set up. And then, of course, we got 4 constructors dedicated for making our copper cabling. We got a storage container for that, as well as an output line for when it's needed for doing any manufacturing. The 2 copper nodes that are way over on that far side, they're feeding a copper line that's coming down all the way to here as well. And then this one is just being used dedicated for our copper sheeting is what is being made here. And then, of course, that all feeds down. There's an exit line here for when we need to manufacture something with it. And then we have a storage container as well for us to be able to pull from as we need materials as we're building things. So that takes care of copper. Let's go look at the concrete. So here is our concrete manufacturing. We have 3 lines. I was able to get together and merge a bunch of stuff together. So we had 3 conveyors of 120 items per minute. Sorry, 240 items per minute coming in and feeding each one of these lines. So there are, 5 constructors per conveyor to make our concrete. And actually it works out to, there's 16 in total. Because then I merged whatever was left over. I kind of merged it all together to be able to feed this last one that's up here. So we have actually 16 constructors that are making our concrete. And then, of course, when it exits right here. That's going into storage. And then we have concrete going off into other manufacturing down the line. So that's what we did with upgrading our concrete. Let's go take a look out here at all the nodes and everything that we've got set up out here. So in total out here, there's actually 6 normal iron nodes that we're able to combine into 3 different conveyors. And why does this look like it's not? Graphical glitch there. There is stuff on this conveyor, but it's just invisible for whatever reason. I'm going to ignore that. I didn't see that. I know it's working, so let's just ignore it for now. But right here on the ground here, when I kept pinging the map, it said there was an iron node here, but it's actually below the sand. You can't physically see it, but trust that it's there, and you will end up finding an extra normal node here so that everything out you'll end up with. You can merge these 2 together to get one good line. You can merge this one and this one together to get a good line, and then these 2 together to get a good line. And then there's also 2 normal nodes of limestone over here that we've got combining up to be able to make a 240 item line, or the equivalent of a pure node of limestone heading back to the factory. And then way over on this side here at this far corner, this is where the 2 copper nodes are that we've got merged together to be able to combine into making a good solid full 240 items per minute, going back to the factory for copper. And here we are now at the new coal power plant infrastructure. Basically, because we were able to double our coal output, we were able to double our coal power as well. And with that, we had to add a additional 6 water extractors. So those are all set up here. And we ended up getting the stackable pipes as well too. So that made our pipe work here nice and condensed so that we could use it. But I still managed to keep it kind of spread out this way for filling all of our power generators. We're now making 2.4 gigawatts of power with these 2 power plants. And with everything we got going here right now, our max possible consumption is just under 1.7 gigawatts of power. So we've got a little bit of room to be able to play for future expansions as we move along here. So with the increased amount of work that we were going to be doing for our steel production, I did want to find another coal node, and of which I'm still going to have to go out on the hunt and find some more coal because I want to expand it a little bit more. I did find another pure node off into the distance out here. And so I've set up here, if we head all the way along here, we've got a path that leads off into the basically kind of like the red forest area here. That leads over to a pure node of coal that we found. that I've got the Mark II miner on. And then this is all feeding down. And then because I wanted to make it, you know, still passable on this hillside for any vehicles that wanted to drive along, I ended up putting a channel down here that the coal drops down here, is hidden under the concrete here, and then pops back up and then basically combines up with the other conveyor that we have going through that's going to go down to our steel production. So we have 2 full 240 items per minute that are flying down this way, and they make their way down to where we are doing our steel production. So this here brings us to our steel production. We have 2 nodes of iron that are feeding in here. So these are coming from way over on that far side. So we have 240 items per minute coming in on each conveyor here. And then they feed through and are feeding 10 foundries that are set up here. And then we have our 2 coal lines that are feeding in here as well to these 10 foundries. I am working also at trying to get a 3rd one set up. There is actually a pure node of iron that's sitting right there that we're going to bring down here. And we're going to add another bunch of steel ingot production here because we're actually going to need a lot of steel beams in our upcoming plans. So that's why this is set up here. I just haven't found any coal for it yet. And we're going to do that here in a little bit. But now, moving on from here, making our steel ingots, then we come to the first little section here. We got 4 constructors that are making our steel beams. Those steel beams go into storage here, and then they feed over to this to make our encased industrial beams. So we've got, this is requiring, we got 48 steel beams per minute just going into this, as well as a total of 60 concrete that are coming over here for making these, giving us a total of 12 encased industrial beams per minute in our manufacturing. Over here, we're making, 15, 30, 45, and then this is slightly underclocked because we actually only have 225 ingots per minute coming in over here. So what would I say, 45? So we're making 56 and a quarter of these every minute off of this production line. And then the other 5 of these constructors is bringing 225 items per minute of our ingots down here into 8 constructors that are making our steel pipe, of which this last one here is underclocked to 50% because of the amount of ingots that we have flowing in here. So that is where we're at there. And then, of course, we have a full container. And then, I can add the storage line here. Or anything that would be needed for steel pipe is now here. So this is basically where we got to at the end of the last episode, but at a much smaller scale. Well, I've ramped everything that we were making up significantly now that we've got everything here. So let's get some tiers completed. We're going to head over to our hub over here, and we're going to have a look at this, and we're going to say, okay, what all do we need for materials to be able to turn in some of these? So first things first, expanded power infrastructure. This is going to get us our power tower platform, and our power storage. We need modular frames, we need steel beams, and we need wire for this to be completed. So let's go gather up these materials. All right, I think I've got everything gathered up for the improved power infrastructure, the expanded power infrastructure. So we're going to select this milestone. We're going to throw in our 100 modular frames. We're going to throw in 100 steel beams, and we're throwing in 1,000 wire, and launch away. We now have the ability to build the power tower. Let's go through logistics under power infrastructure. Power tower, that is what the power tower looks like. And the power tower platform we're going to put right beside it so you can see the difference between them. And there's the one with the platform. So basically, it just adds a ladder and a little stage platform up there. And then I wonder, I don't know if what the limit is for the amount of wires. Oh, it's three per tower is the limit for connections on that. So there you go. That is the power tower. And then, of course, you've all seen what the battery... Oh, I don't have any stators. I can't build this yet. Stators will be one of the production lines I think we're going to have to start working on here pretty quick. But that basically ends up just being a massive Duracell battery is what it kind of looks like. So, but there is that milestone completed. So now we just have to wait for that cart to come back, or the shuttle to come back. Let's see what we need for the next one. For Hypertubes, is we're going to need copper sheeting, which I've already got, encased industrial beams, which you've already got, and then some steel pipe. So we'll run over and grab some more steel pipe, and hopefully by the time we get back, then the shuttle will be back and we can turn in the next milestone. And we're making our way up the ramp here just in time to see the little shuttle make its way back. It's landing there for us so that we can get our next milestone completed. So let's have a look here. Let's select milestone. Current milestone is our Hypertubes. This is obviously going to be able to give us a great way to transport around our factory, both up to the coal power plant, over to the other nodes that are on the far side of the map there. That'll be really handy for us. So let's select this milestone and start loading in our materials. We've got our copper sheeting, we've got our pipe, and of course our encased industrial beams. Launch away. We now have Hypertubes available for us.
Milestone reached. Introducing Hypertubes. Note, FICSIT Inc.
Okay, yeah, thank you, FICSIT. This will be under transportation. This gets us our new Hypertubes that obviously we could just start placing around and be able to transport. I'm not entirely sure exactly where I'm going to set these up yet, but at some point we will set up a nice little launch system here to be able to get us over there and up there from our hub. So while we're waiting for the shuttle to return, our next milestone is going to be FICSIT blueprints. Here we need modular frames, we need steel beams, we need cable, and we need concrete. So while we're waiting for the shuttle, we will go gather up those supplies to get ready to turn in our final Tier 4 milestone. While we're waiting for the shuttle to return, let's have a quick look at the research that I did get completed as well while I was doing the base expansion. So alien organisms, we've got things pretty much unlocked all the way now up until hostile organism detection. And that's because, of course, we're not making crystal oscillators yet and the high-speed connectors, so that'll be a little bit yet. But we are able to make these alien DNA capsules. Deuterium, we've got this basically unlocked now until we start mass-producing some quickwire. I've found Deuterium kind of all over the map, which has made it really easy for me to be able to get these first few done. Mycelia, pretty much everything here is done until we get to making some plastic. We can make the synthetic polyester fabric. And then we need to make some more strides in our sulfur tree to be able to unlock this one. And we need to start making stators for getting medical properties out of mycelia. Nutrition is completed now. I was able to find berries and nuts and the bacon plant. We then expanded in because we were making the modular frames. I was able to get the nutritional processor, and then finally the inhaler, and we can start making the food inhalers now. Power slugs, of course, we got that completed in the last video because we needed to be able to do underclocking. So that is all ready to go for us. Quartz, I haven't found a whole lot of quartz yet, so I was able to get the next two little pieces of the quartz tree unlocked. I need to make a bunch of silica now so I can get my blade runners, and then even more silica so that we can get some more pocket dimensions, more slots, another 6 inventory slots. And then this here is going to be, what is that? Quartz crystals. So those are after the raw quartz. It's kind of the next phase. We need to be able to start making those on mass production so that we can make the crystal oscillator, and then finally the explosive resonance application for the nobelisks. So under the sulfur tree, the only thing I basically did was I handcrafted some black powder, which was able to expand this out a little bit. The experimental power generation, we kind of got that advanced so that we can start working towards the compacted coal. But to do that, I'm going to need to find a hard drive and some more sulfur and coal to be able to do that one, of which I'm pretty sure there's a hard drive that we haven't grabbed yet that's up by our water generators and the coal nodes. So, and then of course turbo fuel, we need a hard drive, and then compacted coal and some plastic containers. So that's going to be a little bit before we get there. I did get enough of the black powder so that we could unlock the phase for getting the nobelisks done. So we can craft nobelisks now, but we're not mass producing black powder at all. So everything's kind of by hand at this point. So yeah, that's the little thing. Smokeless powder, we don't have any plastics, so we're not doing that yet. And then of course we haven't unlocked anything below that. So that's where we are with our MAM research. All right, the pod has returned. Let's turn in this next milestone to get Tier 4 complete. This is our FICSIT Blueprint Designer. Selecting our milestones, we've got our modular frames getting loaded in. We've got our steel beams loaded in. Here goes some cable. And finally, a bunch of concrete. Launch away, and we are done. Tier 4. Everything there is now complete. And the computer didn't talk to us. Wow. The hub Ada didn't just start spouting off. Maybe because I kept canceling her, she's decided, that's it, I'm done, I don't want to talk anymore. So we now have the Blueprint Designer, which I believe falls under special. We have everything we need to be able to build this too. We have the physical room here. Looks like we do right there. Let's just build that Blueprint Designer. If I could get back into the air again here. There we go. Actually, it just fit there. So now we've got the 4x4 Blueprint Designer. I believe... I don't even know if it needs to be powered up. I think it just... If you need to put power in it, you can put power in it, but... I can't remember offhand if it needs to be powered. Let's just run one of these here. I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I'm going to, though, just as we're kind of working on this, is have power available around it if we wanted to test some certain things as we're building. So we'll put that one right about there. I'm going to relocate this one just a little bit. Want it right tucked into this. Oh, it won't let me on that corner. It's got to be right there. Okay, that's fine. I guess it was just a little bit close here, and it's not too far hard for us to be able to walk up. So now we've got our Blueprint Designer. What's next? If we look at our hub here, it's like active milestones. You can't go any for complete space elevator phase 2 to continue. Okay, so first things first, what do we got to do? Let's head over to the space elevator, have a look at that, and kind of go from there. So first things first is smart plate. We've already got those made. Not a problem. We just have to get them up here. Next, Versatile Framework. This is going to be an assembler where we need to combine modular frames and beams. I don't have a lot of steel beams right now, so we're going to expand our steel beam infrastructure. And that's basically all we need for that is some coal right now, and we'll be good to go there. Finally, automated wiring is going to be combining stators and copper cabling. We're not making the stators yet, so that means we need to start looking at making stators. And do we have, yes, we can look at this here. So stators is going to be combining pipe and wire to be able to make our stators. So we've got a few different assembly lines here that we need to be working on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I already kind of got started on it here, is getting a conveyor system over here to be able to feed our smart plating into the space elevator to get it launched. Okay, so we have a little conveyor system here that's just pulling out of the storage container that's here. It goes straight up this way, shoots underneath our conveyor that's looking after our coal and some limestone. Actually, it's just basically become a conveyor bus now. It's feeding up and goes directly into the space elevator. And then, of course, this now will start ticking up until we hit 500. And then it will be full. So the next thing we want to look at now is a production line for making our stators. The first thing we got to look at is let's have a look at an assembler here and figure out what we're going to need. So we're going to need 15 steel pipe per minute and 40 copper wire per minute to be able to make 5 stators. So the whole idea of the stators is also going to be because we need to be able to make the automated wire, and this is going to take 2.5 per minute to be able to make one of the automated wire. But then are stators also going to be required for motors? Motors, they require 10. So I think we should have 3 of these set up. We're going to do 1, 2, 3 of these will be configured for making stators. And then 2 of them will be dedicated for making motors later on. And 1 of these will be dedicated to be able to make our automated wire. Because we'll be able to get 2 production lines from the automated wire out of that. So this is going to be requiring 45 steel pipe and 120 wire is what we've got to get going over here. Well, we've got plenty of steel pipe. I don't think that's really going to be that much of an issue. And we got plenty of wire. It's just a matter of logistically getting it over here. So I did just kind of build this little platform so that we've got more room to kind of expand out this way if we want. We can completely turn this whole side here into additional factory space if need be, but then also left enough room here that if we wanted to, under production, we could put a, maybe not quite fit a water tower plant under there. Maybe if I didn't use I think I might raise this up one more elevation. I think that might be what I'll do. And then that way we've got room to be able to put a water extractor under here if need be. See, I didn't leave a lot of room over that way. So we're just going to have to play it by ear as to how many water extractors we might need in this area. So I don't want to, well, I mean, the factory will be taken down and put back up a few more times because we still have Mark IV conveyors to deal with and Mark III miners and then Mark V conveyors. So we still have room for growth. It's just, I don't know how much factory tear down and rebuild I want to do each time we do one of these big upgrades. Okay, so I did raise this up a little bit so there is room, and I've also kind of brought it back a little bit more. I think if we've even come back like two foundations worth, and then kind of expanded out the platform, of which there is a crash site up here that we just needed to get power to be able to get a hard drive from, and we've got power up here now, so that's actually going to be really easy to do. In fact, we will do this right now. We're going to run over here. I think this will be my first hard drive. I can't remember if I've got a hard drive in this playthrough yet or not, so we're going to grab this, open it up. Hello, Mr. Hard Drive. We've got a hard drive, but we're actually going to be using those for MAM research rather than hard drive research, so that is that taken care of. So we've got our 3 assemblers here. This is making our stators for us. We're making 15 stators per minute out of this. So we are pulling 45 steel and 120 wire is what we are doing off of the steel pipe. and 120 wire. Of course, we have them being dumped into a storage container here as well too, and then the conveyor line will continue for when we need to be able to make, I think it's the automated wiring. So that's where we're at this point right now. Now I'm going to let this run for a bit so it gets an opportunity to stockpile, and then I will continue. For you guys, it's just going to be a few seconds, but for me, it's going to be overnight. And I'm going to come back and we'll get the next step built. All right, now that we have the stators done, it's time to use these stators in our next piece. So if we come over here, we're looking at automated wiring is what we're looking at for this. And of course, we are making 15 stators per minute right now. We're going to be using 5 stators per minute for our automated wiring. And the other 10 stators per minute are going to be used for making motors in the future here. So let's quickly look at what we've got here. So I've laid down a couple of the assemblers here. It's 2.5 stators per minute for each assembler, as well as we're going to need 50 cable per assembler as well. So that's 100 cable per minute that we're going to need to feed over to here. So logistically now, all we need to look at is actually getting our materials over here so that we can actually get this stuff built. So I'm going to bring the stators in on the bottom level, and then the second layer up will be our cabling, except for I don't have enough materials on me to keep. Actually, I do. I just have to delete this. And the reason I am actually going to put a splitter on the ends of these as well too, so that we can carry those products on for any future building that we've got to do. So I've done the same thing over with the steel beams that are over there. So yeah. So now I just have to logistically get these. What was it again? It was stators and cable. Well, our stators are right here. So we just need to feed this back like this. And right in there. Okay, that was probably the easiest and perfect 90-degree setup we could do there. There we go. Stators are done. Now we just need some cable over here, and that's going to take a little bit to get that because our cable is way... I don't know if I can zoom enough that way. You can actually see the storage container. It's right there. That's, wow, that the mouse sensitivity when you're zoomed in that far. Right there is the storage container for our cable that we need to move this way. Pretty sure that's the cable one. Yes, that is. And so that's what we've got to get coming down over here. So it's going to be just another conveyor line that's added to this section here to be able to feed it along and have it come through this way. So let's get the cable. Okay, so we've brought our conveyor line of cable. It comes down this way, then we elevator it down to follow along the path of the wire that's here. And then we come over and distribute it into our assemblers that are going to be looking after making the automated wiring. Totally forgot what that was there for a second. My mind went like totally blank. What again are we making? Automated wiring. That is now complete. We will build some kind of a storage system here for it as well too. Now this should, yeah, it is actively building. So we'll build some type of a storage container here. We'll just slap this down right about. Keep it in line there. We'll get our mergers out and our splitters to be able to take care of this for where we're going to need them. And we're going to put a merger right here. Oh, I want that on the center line, so I'm going to have to delete this and redo that. So 0 and lines up. Perfect. And then our conveyor belt's coming out. Okay, so we have storage now for the automated wiring, and then we're eventually going to have to get this feed all the way back up to, because I believe automated wiring is, of course, one of the components, so we've got to get It's Versatile Framework and automated wiring that we have to get sent up here to be able to finish this phase 2 of the space elevator. Yeah, so we're going to need 100 of those. Now, it might just be easier because it's only 100 that's needed. Maybe I just leave them in storage and I bring over a couple of stacks and throw them in, rather than trying to conveyor them over. Where the smart plating, that had to be conveyored in because there was 500 of them we had to do. Of course, now I've got more than enough smart plating here that, I mean, it's just collecting dust now. I might have it dump into an awesome sink to get us some more tickets. But we'll kind of see where that stuff needs to go here in the future first before we start throwing things into a dumpster and making some coupons out of it. So we've made 4, so we have to wait for 100. In the meantime, though, we can start working on getting the Versatile Framework done. So we're going to probably build that just over at this end because it is a combination of, let's just throw down one of these and have a look. Looking at the recipe for Versatile Framework is it's modular frames and steel beams. Well, we've got our steel beams here. How many do we need? We need 30. And I have just added another, what do I got here? 30, 45, 50. One of these is underclocked. Yeah, so 56 and a bit. So we've added enough here that I can at least get one of these up and running. I could probably get away with 2. Maybe we'll do 2. I think 2 is probably not a bad idea, but it looks like I have to expand my foundation out here that we are working with. And of course, I may be going just a little bit overboard with our foundations here. And like bit by bit, I have been completely covering this place in concrete. I don't know if you've noticed while I've been moving around is the concrete's creeping back into the cave back there. It's covering all the ground over here. I'm turning this all into one big factory is what it's going to end up happening. But so now that we've got this done, I'm going to get the steel beams hooked up to this and then work on how I'm going to get some of those modular frames over here. All right, so to get our modular frames over there, we just added another conveyor to this conveyor bus that's all here. And it's just going to run along the output side of our steel factory. And it runs along here, and then we just kind of extended out this little catwalk so that we could keep going with it. And then it drops down with an elevator right beside our storage for our encased industrial beams. They're going to feed in this way, and then of course from our steel beams, I just carried on the feed over into our 2 assemblers that are going to be making the Versatile Framework. However, they do not have any power yet. So let's get these bad boys powered up, and then we can actually start manufacturing this stuff. And then I just have to finish up the output side of this as well too, because I haven't finished those conveyor runs. So we'll quickly connect this up so it's got somewhere to go, and that was not the right spot for it. Pay attention to where you're placing your stuff. And then I'm going to need a splitter on there as well too, in case we need those for somewhere else. I just need to want to right click on one because it's just easier to use your middle click option. So we'll go like that. Conveyor this. Oh, you know what? This actually doesn't go here. It goes right here, because then I can shoot it out this way if I needed to work on something. Bam, just like that. Now we have storage for our 4 versatile frames that we've made. Yay for us. We've made 4. How many of it did it say we needed? It was 100 of the automated wiring, and I can't remember how much Versatile Framework. Let's go quickly look over at this and see how much it's needed. And we are looking at, 500 of those. We might just maybe think about conveyoring that back, because that is a lot of Versatile Framework that we need to be able to do. And I think for now, I might even just disconnect the storage container. So that we don't have to worry about that. And, yeah, we'll just remove this. I'm going to take the 12 that we have made. I'll just dump them into one of the machines we got here so it'll exit out. And then I will take this line and figure out the best route. I think probably attaching it to this conveyor line to get it back that way. I think that's probably going to be our best bet. So I can come with some foundations here. I think I'll line it up with this one here. Oh, we're on a slant right here too. This really kind of sucks. Okay, we'll line it up with this. We'll shoot our foundations off this way. We will put an elevator here to shoot it up to this level. And then that will get our products. Oh, I got a lot of conveyors to run. Let me get some conveyor systems set up here. And then we will have everything geared up so that we can get that phase 2 of the space elevator done. Okay, so from our Versatle Framework, we have a elevator that shoots it up this way. It runs along over to this large conveyor bus and then feeds along this conveyor. It heads all along this way. And then we shoot off to another little drop elevator here. And then another lift elevator this way. I don't need this piece here anymore. Then this runs on this way. It drops back down again. And then feeds on over and in to our space elevator. So those are starting to load. We had a tiny bit of a stockpile, so I think we'll get up to like 50, 60. Oh, might even be a little bit better than that. I think we'd be close to 100 by the time those load in. What are we at? We're at 84 so far that we've made in the time it took to build this conveyor system that's over here, which means I'm almost guaranteed to have 100 of my automated framework. So I'm going to go grab those, and then we'll wait for this to load, and then bam, we'll have phase 2 of the space elevator complete. All right, everything is loaded in. Let's get our phase 2 space elevator completed. Everything is all loaded in here. In fact, I've even removed the line for the smart elevators, or the smart plating. Reason being is, A, we're not going to need those products up here anymore. But I did leave the little stands there so that we can rerun new conveyors here when the next product comes along that we have to load into this thing. But for now, let's get this thing loaded up. So we're heading in here. We are loading it. I don't think loading really does. There's nothing on the animation side that happens there. And then once... Well, I guess we have to stay in here. It's inside this window is where the animation all happens. It's not external. And then now we can send it. Sent away. It is now loading up and getting ready to launch off to its destination somewhere at FICSIT Inc. of all the materials that we just finished building for it. So that is gone. It's off into space, which means now we have phase 3. And look, Versatle Framework, we need 2,500 of them. Well, guess what is going to stay running is that conveyor line to fill that up. So we'll just keep that in line there so that that can keep doing its thing. But then we also have to start building modular engines and adaptive control units. So that's going to be a ways down the road. But now that we've unlocked, we've got phase elevator, or the space elevator phase 2 complete. This will unlock tiers 5 and 6 for us. So if we head back this way, 5 and 6, we get oil processing that we get to work on. Gas masks, which will be nice because there's a couple of spots that I've ran into now where I've had to like sprint through and not die trying to get around the gas. Alternative fluid transport. So this is going to get us our plastic bottles and all that type of stuff. Some increased fluid storage. We get the packager. Industrial manufacturing. This actually gets us the ability to make the manufacturer, as well as we get the larger truck. We get to be able to start making computers, modular engines, and adaptive control units. Those are the 2 items for the space elevator. So that that'll be happening here in Tier 5. Tier 6, we get Logistics Mark 4. As well as Caterium scanning, which I think we already have Caterium scanning because... Can I... hold on. I think we already have Caterium scanning. If I hit this, yeah, see, we can already scan for it. And that's because of our MAM research that we've pulled that off in, so. No worries there. So, yeah, Logistics Mark IV, that gets us, of course, I believe it's using the, encased industrial beams for the conveyors. And that gets us 480 items per minute. However, I don't think we have the Mark III miner for a bit yet, so it's no real point in doing this upgrade until we get that miner. Because I have not spent enough time going around and tried to get enough slugs for overclocking everything. So that one's kind of a useless milestone, really. Jetpacks, well, if you're playing normal and you're not recording video and you don't enable fly mode, which I'm using right now, mainly because that way you can see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. It makes it easier for recording. This is where you would be able to start being able to do some flying. Monorail technology, this gets us our trains. Pipeline engineering, this gets us our Mark II pipes and the water pump. So that's what we get to start working on in the coming episodes. But now that we've got that done, Tier 4 is complete. The Space Elevator Phase 2 is complete. We're really cruising along on this playthrough on here. And let me know what you think of our factory rebuild here that we've done, and how we're starting to climb upwards with our factory instead of spreading outwards. But we've also been spreading out as well too, adding in these production lines that are over here. Bit by bit, we're just kind of taking up this whole little lake that's right here. And then, of course, we have our new power up there. Send a like on the old video. Reach down, hit that like button. That'd be fantastic. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of our playthrough so far. I've enjoyed all of your comments. I read all of the comments that have come through. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. We're creeping. We've passed 2,400 subs now. Let's try to push to 2,500. That would be fantastic. And ring that notification bell. That way you can be notified when a new video has been uploaded. But if you don't trust YouTube notifications, you can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter /X/ whatever. I've got Threads as well too, but I don't know. I'll see if I could get a logo for it to post it up here as we're plugging along here. But for now, you guys have a good one, and we're gonna see you in the next episode. Bye for now.